Hello, everybody. This is January 3rd, again, part 2, Common Sense for the Community. Um, Growing up in the Wallach family, we more or less had no choice. We had to use common sense because our parents had so much common sense. We didn't get a choice in the matter. And anybody that grew up with farm families or engineers knows exactly what I'm talking about because they just are so full of information that it's a required part of being in the family to keep up with them because they just aren't going to put up with silliness and not thinking, not making conclusions. So I want to bring to the forefront that common sense is not as common as we would like it to be. It does mean that more and more people, now that we see major media is not reporting correctly, it's even very likely a propaganda vehicle instead of truth, like our First Amendment made sure that we can rely on the First Amendment to protect journalism and getting news out so that the public can make informed choices. That's what information is about, making informed choices for the better of yourselves, better of your families, better for your finances, better for your future, options, and for the general well-being of your community. And when we're dealing with people that are in the business of hiding facts, hiding statistics, hiding information, preventing tools and technology that give us the needed information to make informed choices, this is a problem. And so you're going to have to start asking some critical questions. When you hear things in the news, who benefits? You should be asking every single time, who benefits? If it's not the people, if it's not the general welfare of the people, you have to really look at who benefits. So, right off the top of my head is the issue of blaming Russia for hacking the elections, when all throughout the elections the media was not truthful in what the real statistics were for what the people were polling and what the actual delegates were presenting had nothing to do with what the American people wanted to know and the issues involved. So a huge disconnect right there. And because they have the access to the media vehicle, they're trying to subterfuge what your attention is on. Instead of on facts, they're busy with gossip. And so people have to ask really logical questions in regards to, if it was an American, if it was a DNC operative from inside that was leaking the information because they tried through the normal channels to lawfully not embarrass them, make the changes, and they were stonewalled or probably made fun of or threatened. And so they turned around and leaked it to WikiLeaks to make sure that that information got out, because if they were so willing to threaten and ridicule at that level something that's against the law to fix the elections, you can guarantee that they felt their only option was to bring it to WikiLeaks as an international vehicle to release that kind of information. And then for this same media vehicle to turn around and make all these false accusations with no evidence of Russian interference is just outrageous. It's just, you can't bring something like that and not be sued for slander. Okay, that is slander. That's against the law, that's against international law, and I think that the major media vehicles deserve to lose a few $100 million or $1 billion in fines for this, because you cannot create the kind of atmosphere that would cause all kinds of economic hardship on innocent people on both sides, Americans and Russians, and all the in-betweens in regards to trade and export, import, and other things, and just feel like they can get away with it. This is outrageous. So, again, on so many issues, use critical common sense. Who benefits? That should be your first question. And even if it's something that you don't have an answer for, but if you put it out there, who's benefiting? A lot of researchers know, and they can share facts, and even if you're not sure, double check them yourself. Look up the links, post things. And another thing that I want to share with people, and this is something that truthers and activists have had to deal with for years and years and years, but there's such a thing called Hegelian dialect, which is a particular kind of propaganda form of psychological bullying in regards to a whole group or 3 or 4 posters will come after someone and ridicule them or just out and out like challenge what you're saying with no proof otherwise. They start personal attacks instead of giving you real facts. So that gives you a clue right there that they're out of bounds. And I do have a great diagram that someone shared online that has to do with fair debate techniques, and what is considered out of bounds is personal attacks against people. So when you're sharing comments, be very careful in your criticism of other people so that you're not guilty of almost the same thing, because you're just like, oh, they're just ridiculous. But when you say something to the effect, oh, your reply is ridiculous, you have no standing evidence for your stance, and you have no evidence to rebut what I'm sharing with you. You just have a loud mouth or a loud personality, and that is not the same thing as truth. So just really start asking critical questions. Start understanding how things fit into a certain stack of games, and you're going to have to diffuse them if you want to get through the attacks, because it's not easy, especially if you're quiet and sensitive and intelligent, to just have all these personal attacks at you. But when you start breaking down the psychological defense mechanisms of cognitive dissonance and Hegelian dialect, then you'll start seeing that it's really not that they're attacking you personally. They have no other thing to throw at you in order to break down your evidence or your statistics or your information, and they're only hoping that other people will listen to them more than they will you. So just tell them, hey, there's no such thing as a one-sided dialogue. There's no such thing as one-sided evidence. So if you're stating without evidence that the 9/11 story, official story is it, and there's no scientific proof otherwise, just my say so, that's Hegelian dialect. And that should be like red flag, wake up, because just because you say so doesn't make things so. So with that, just keep using common sense and ask questions. That's the best way. Good night.